Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this meeting of the Personnel Committee. The formalities first. Can I remind you that this is a formal meeting? Members of the public will be given an opportunity to speak during public open session, but not at other times. The meeting is being filmed, and by being present, attendees are deemed to have agreed to be filmed and to the use of those images and sound recordings. Attendees should not disclose any personal information of individuals, as this would infringe the data protection rights of that individual. And can I please ask that people mute their microphones when they're not speaking? Thank you very much. We have one apology for absence from Councillor Patel, who's away on business. Do we have any declarations of interest in any item on the agenda, please? No, okay. I don't have any chairman's announcements, so we move on. Is there anybody who wishes to speak from the public? We don't have any in the chamber. No, okay, so we go on. Do we have any members' questions, please? Councillor Woodhead.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm not sure whether this is meant really for F&GP or it's a personnel issue, but members will be aware there's been an issue around perhaps phishing emails and spoof emails, and I just wonder if the clerk can reassure us that the correct IT security is being looked into with our IT provider and to ensure that the council's email system and IT systems are safe.
Yeah, we've had two recent phishing experiences, both of which have been reported to Node. Yeah, and they're looking into both instances. There's nothing to suggest that there's been any significant issues connected to the council whatsoever, but they're pursuing the matter on our behalf.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Any other members' questions? No? Okay, thank you. Minutes of the meeting on the 1st of August. So, as usual, we're going through for accuracy. Anything on page 6 of our pack, which is page 1 of the minutes? Page 7? Page 8? Or page 9? So may I sign them as a correct record, please? Yes, thank you very much. And then matters arising from the minutes. So again, is there anything on page 6, on page 7, on page 8, or page 9? No? Thank you very much. Right, so we're on to items for consideration. And we have a managing personal relationships at work policy. Does the clerk wish to introduce this?
I don't really have anything significant to say connected to this. It's a draft policy that's been produced by our head of administration and HR. And obviously it says what it describes here. It's trying to get a sense of how we might manage a situation if either officers might have a relationship at work or officer to member might have a relationship at work, and then looking to protect the good governance of the council associated with that, should that happen. Thank you.
Thank you. So comments, people, please. Colleagues? Councillor Alban?
Yeah, I've got 2 questions, I think. So on page 12, towards the end of the paragraph at the top. So it says, recourse to formal procedures such as the disciplinary or procedure. Now, I'm assuming there may be a word missing or an extra word in there, so but it doesn't seem to make an awful lot of sense as it is.
I believe the word grievance is missing off. Yeah, disciplinary grievance.
Sorry, say again.
Grievance.
Grievance. Thank you. Any other comments on the policy? Councillor Knight?
Thank you. I think overall it's a sensible policy. I have a few comments.
So overall, I think all new policies should have a review interval presented to council or committee. So I would suggest it should be probably reviewed in no less than 3 years. Of course, that doesn't mean it couldn't be reviewed earlier. In the centre of page 10, the policy just below employee and member responsibilities refers to informing the town clerk and chief executive. And then it says the administration and HR manager. Both of those are composite job titles that could ultimately be separated. So I would suggest it says town clerk and HR manager to avoid any confusion. The same in the centre of page 11, where it currently says admin and HR manager. I would propose changing that to just be HR manager. At the very bottom sentence of page 11, it has the word business, and I think it should be the word organisation.
Sorry, say that again.
At the very bottom, it says consideration with the needs of the business at the time, page 11, and I think that should be organisation, not business.
Thank you.
Councillor Albone just mentioned page 12, and then on page 14, so page 14 is largely a copy paste, I think, of page 13, but at the top, I think it should say appendix 2. And at the bottom, it shouldn't be signed by an employee because this form's talking about a member, so it should say member in brackets, and I don't think a member has a manager. With those changes, I'd be happy to propose it's adopted.
Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder for that? Or do I have a seconder first? Thank you. Go on then, Councillor Foster.
So on, I think it's page 10, my pages aren't numbered, in the paragraph that Councillor Knight referred to, where it says in order which may affect their work or compromise the town council. I think that perhaps we've used the word potential on other, so I think we perhaps should use the word potential in there rather than may affect their work. It has the potential to.
Thank you.
Following point should be, so the next paragraph down says the following point should be observed where the relationship will exist between a member of staff and their line manager with responsibility both to inform a more senior manager. So it's in there, but then further along, somewhere along page 12, the council may deem the following to be disciplinary offences: the actions of line manager is in a personal relationship with an employee which are prohibited by this policy. So I'm not sure whether that line refers to the relationship being prohibited or the actions of a manager who's in a personal relationship. It's not entirely clear, but I suspect that if we've accepted that a line manager and an employee might be in a relationship, we need to either say it's allowable or isn't, but because it also refers to the fact that if they are further down in the policy about whether a senior manager has to take responsibility for some of the decisions. So I think there's an issue with that paragraph, but also I think on page 12 in relation to actions by a line manager. I thought probably it's a little bit garbled, but the point is there's some inconsistency between the wording and there. On page 11. Oh, sorry, there's just one other. On the last paragraph on page 10, if an employee who is applying for a role in an area of the business, which Councillor Knight picked on the previous one, but there's that one. In the middle of page 11, there's an item saying report suspicions of fraudulent activity to the finance director. So I think that needs to be changed. And if I may, if we can go on to page 12, there's a line that's the sort of bullet point, I think it's 5, inappropriate physical interactions whilst working on all works premises or client sites. Is there a need for client sites to be in there?
No.
So, and again, subject to those amendments, I'm happy with that.
Okay. Councillor Jones.
Thank you. If just to go back on some of those points from Councillor Foster, if that's okay. I'm a bit worried about the word has the potential to on page 10 to change it to that. It feels a bit ambiguous.
I understand that. It's just the fact that we have on Appendix 1 or Appendix 2, potential or foreseeable conflicts of interest is in the form. So we either need to have the wording potential or foreseeable, or so the wording is consistent across the form and the policy, one or the other. I don't mind. If we're not happy with the word potential,
It's for the second line. So in order to ensure potential conflicts of interest are avoided, that's great, which matches with the Appendix 1 and 1B, or 2, whatever we're going to call it. Employees are required to inform their line manager of any relationship which may affect, by adding in potential, I suppose it's semantics, but it just feels a bit ambiguous for me, that's all. But
yeah,
maybe
I guess so. I'm not precious about it. It's just the fact that it has the potential, I suppose, is what I was thinking. But we've used the word potential twice, so I'm not that particular. It's just making sure that we're clear between one and the others.
And then the other bit about that finance director, there's something in a policy later on about whistleblowing in general that I have a query on later. I'm wondering if that might be something there that we could tie in potentially with that, if the finance director is the right or the wrong person for it to be referred to. Whoever is going to be the person, the designated person that people would report things to in general should be the same person consistently across everything.
So we need to look at the whistleblowing policy and establish the most appropriate.
Just to make sure it all ties up
Yeah.
together, that's all.
Yeah. So have we agreed on potential being used, colleagues? We've had different points of view. Are we happy with potential? Yeah.
I'm happy with potential. Is Councillor Jones happy with potential?
I think my worry is that if a relationship happened and people looked into it, that is just, it has to be tangible conflicts of interest that are discussed. And I'm worried the word potential enlarges that scope for the conversation to get a bit out of control. So for me, that's why I wouldn't put it in, but I'm not going to lose.
So shall we remove potential and say conflicts of interest? I'm not going to try and repeat everything that people have proposed, but I think, looking at reactions around the table, that we're happy apart from sorting out this potential. Councillor Strawn?
Just for clarification, will we be making a recommendation to council on this rather than resolving it? Simply because, in view of all the comments that have been made, I think we need to actually see it, the final version, before we approve it. So as long as it's a recommendation, I've got nothing further to say.
Okay, it's a shame to delay it, and it's something else for the 14th of November, which is already a long agenda, but I think... Can
I suggest a compromise? The alternative would be we can get you a clean copy and we can put it forward to the chair of the committee to ascertain whether or not it's clean and precise.
I'm not prepared to take that responsibility, having not written down absolutely every comment. So I think it should be referred to council and hopefully can be rubber stamped there if it's a recommendation from this committee. So we have the recommendation to go ahead with all the changes that have been highlighted. Are we prepared on the basis of that to recommend to council approval? Can I have a show of hands, please? That's unanimous. So we can say it's a unanimous recommendation as long as all those points have been rectified. Okay, well, there are no items for information. Do we have any members of the public now? Okay, so nobody wishing to say anything in the public open session. So we do have some exempt items to deal with. So will somebody please move that we go into exempt session? Yes, thank you very much. Okay.